Thousands of British Columbia's short-term rental listings are illegal. That's according to preliminary analysis by the Ministry of Housing. It reviewed more than 22,000 short-term rentals listed online and found that nearly 11,000 properties across the province are operating outside of the law. The ministry obtained the figures from such rental companies as Airbnb, Vrbo, and Booking.com. Now, as of May 1st, the province adopted new rules that require most short-term rentals in BC to be the owner's principal residence. It was an attempt to get more available space on the long-term rental market. For more on this, we're joined by Tom Davidoff. He's the director of the UBC Centre for Urban Economics and Real Estate, and we reached him today in Vancouver. Tom, great to speak with you again. Thanks so much for making time for us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So we're 3 months into these new rules in BC, and yet 10,000, roughly 11,000 short-term rental listings are not living up to the standards of these new rules. Is this a sign of these rules being ineffective or growing pains here? What do you think?
Well, first of all, it's a very strong financial incentive to break the rules because you can make more money on Airbnb in a month after expenses than you can as a landlord, and there's no rent control to worry about. So unless the enforcement were very strong, it's not surprising at all to see landlords trying to get away with this.
Yeah, I mean, the math, when you look at some of the analysis that's been done recently, it doesn't add up for investors these days. There was a report by CIBC recently that showed in Toronto that when it comes to new condos, investors are losing money. 80% of investors are losing money every month in the realm of hundreds of dollars here. So the cost of owning properties has been going up. Rent prices have too. But when the math doesn't add up like that for many people in these situations, what do you see as the fallout here? Does that property end up going on the market for sale rather than for long-term rent?
You know, it wouldn't surprise me to see a lot of Airbnb landlords selling. In fact, given the provincial rules, I'm somewhat surprised here in BC, we haven't seen a flood of condo listings, and we haven't seen prices come down that much. Maybe the announcement today is a predictor of more enforcement to come. Maybe you see more sales then. But these may be high net worth owners who just saw a greater reward for Airbnb, but would be able to hold on financially, reaching in their pockets potentially to make mortgage payments with a conventional rental. It remains to be seen what will happen.
Some owners of short-term rentals in BC have responded with legal challenges, saying that these regulations, they interfere with their property rights and business investments. Is there something to that argument, Tom? Because, you know, if someone bought a property with the intention of renting it out, but they bought it years before these rules were changed, could there be a scenario where something, you know, is grandfathered in, where there could be an exception made?
You know, I'd have to defer to lawyers on that one. I will say taxes come in all the time that are bad news for owners. Land use regulations, you'd have to see whether you could be grandfathered in that way. But, you know, my best guess is these were legal measures taken by the province, and landlords will have to choose a different path.
Yeah, that's a good point. If your taxes go up, you just got to deal with it. So I guess the big question on this one is, you know, will this really be worth it? From what you've been seeing so far, has the push to crack down on these short-term rentals in the province led to more longer-term rental availability and maybe by doing that, more affordable prices for people?
You know, short-term rentals, it's hard to say. The evidence from BC is that when empty homes taxes were put in at the city of Vancouver level and the provincial level, there were thousands of units that became available to people to rent. And the more rental units there are, one expects the lower rents will be, all else equal. So I think this does help. I think putting the needs of people who want to live and work in the province first above those of people who want to either serve as landlords or tourists who want to stay here. Probably certainly makes sense as a policy goal. Should it be an outright ban? Maybe higher taxes instead, so you allow this sort of thing, but you collect revenue that can be used to help people in need. That would be an alternative path.
Well, yeah, still some tension remaining there as they figure all of this out, Tom. And it does look like there will be fines of up to $5,000 a day for hosts and $10,000 a day for platforms that don't remove illegal listings. So we'll see how all of this shakes out, Tom. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
That's Tom Davidoff. He's the director of the UBC Center for Urban Economics and Real Estate, and he's in Vancouver.